Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine your soul, before this lifetime, standing at the threshold between worlds. Picture this. You're holding a cosmic map, blueprint, a sacred contract written in starlight and sealed with divine purpose. This document contains everything. Your mission, your gifts, your challenges, the people you'll meet, the service you'll provide, and then you take that first breath in a human body. The veil descends. The forgetting begins. But here's what Edgar Cayce discovered during 14,000 life readings. Something that changes everything about how we understand purpose and calling. Your soul. It left you breadcrumbs, 9 unmistakable signs, spiritual GPS coordinates embedded in your very being, signals that whisper from the deepest part of you, confirming when you're walking the path you chose before incarnation, unlike the validation you seek from others. Unlike the approval of family, friends, or society, these signs emerge from within. They're written in the language of your soul, and once you recognize them, everything begins to make sense. The mysterious pull you've felt toward certain causes, the unexplainable skills that seem to flow through you, the sacred discontent that won't let you settle for a life that's too small, the way certain people and opportunities appear at exactly the right moment. These aren't coincidences, they're confirmations. By the end of our time together, you'll identify which signs you're already experiencing. You'll understand why certain life experiences have felt so profoundly right, or mysteriously challenging. You'll discover that what you thought was confusion was actually your soul's way of keeping you on track. But here's what's at stake. Missing these signals means wandering in spiritual wilderness. Recognizing them transforms confusion into clarity, struggle into sacred purpose, searching into coming home. Your soul is trying to tell you something. Are you ready to listen? For over 40 years, Edgar Cayce entered a trance-like state that defied all conventional understanding. In this altered consciousness, he accessed what he called the Akashic Records, the cosmic library containing every soul's journey across time and space. But Cayce's readings weren't generic spiritual platitudes. They were laser-precise blueprints for individual souls. 14,000 life readings, 14,000 unique maps of purpose, karma, and spiritual mission. Person after person came seeking answers. Why am I here? What is my purpose? Why do I feel so different, so called to something I can't quite name? And what Cayce revealed was revolutionary. He discovered that every soul chooses its earthly experience. Before incarnation, in realms beyond physical understanding, each consciousness selects specific lessons, relationships, and service opportunities. You didn't arrive here randomly. You came with intention. Think of it as signing a cosmic contract, a sacred agreement with the universe itself. You chose your family dynamics to heal certain patterns. You selected your natural gifts to serve in specific ways. You even agreed to face particular challenges, because your soul knew they would catalyze the growth you came here to achieve. But here's the mystery that Cayce uncovered. Incarnation creates intentional amnesia. The veil between worlds isn't a cruel joke. It's a necessary part of the curriculum. You had to forget your divine nature in order to remember it through human experience. You had to lose yourself in order to find yourself, yet your soul, in its infinite wisdom, built in safeguards, navigation systems, confirmation signals that would activate at precisely the right moments to remind you. Yes, you're on track. Yes, you're remembering. Yes, this is why you came. These 9 signs aren't tests to pass or achievements to unlock. They're love letters from your soul, gentle confirmations that you're awakening to the purpose you chose before taking your first breath in this world. And now, it's time to recognize them. Before we explore these signs, we must journey to a realm beyond time and space. A dimension where your soul existed before this body, before this name, before this lifetime story began. Picture this sacred moment, your consciousness, vast and luminous, reviewing the cosmic curriculum available for Earth's School of Experience. You see the lessons your soul still needs to master, the karmic patterns requiring resolution, the specific forms of service that would advance not only your own evolution, but contribute to humanity's collective awakening. And then, you begin to choose. You select parents whose wounds and gifts will provide exactly the challenges and support your soul requires. You choose a time period, a culture, a set of circumstances that will create the perfect laboratory for your growth. Most remarkably, you pick the very struggles that will eventually become your greatest strengths. The healer chooses to experience illness. The teacher selects ignorance to overcome. The leader opts for powerlessness to transcend. This isn't masochism. This is profound spiritual strategy. Your soul understands something your human mind has yet to grasp, that every wound becomes a doorway to wisdom. Every challenge becomes a catalyst for compassion. Every limitation becomes a launching pad for transcendence. But here's the paradox that Cayce revealed. These sacred confirmations often appear during your most difficult periods, not your easiest, when you're questioning everything, when the path seems unclear, when you're wondering if you're completely lost. That's precisely when your soul begins sending the strongest signals. Because those moments of spiritual crisis, they're not signs that you're off track. They're indications that you're ready for the next level of remembering. The discomfort you feel isn't punishment. It's preparation. Your soul is creating enough tension to launch you toward your authentic purpose. It's making it impossible to remain comfortable in a life that's too small for who you're becoming. So as we explore these 9 signs together, remember, your soul knew you would need them. Before you took your first breath, before you spoke your first word, before you took your first step, your soul was already preparing the breadcrumbs that would guide you home to yourself. Think back to your earliest memories, before the world told you who you should be, before teachers, parents, and society began shaping your understanding of possibility. Was there something you simply knew? A 6-year-old who announces with absolute certainty that they're here to help animals. An 8-year-old who insists they're going to heal people's sadness. A child who speaks about God with the familiarity of an old friend. Despite growing up in a non-religious household, these weren't childhood fantasies. According to Cayce's readings, these were moments of soul memory bleeding through. Picture this: your consciousness, fresh from the spirit realm, not yet fully encased in human conditioning. In those early years, the veil between dimensions is thinner. Your soul's purpose can still whisper through the innocence of an unconditioned mind. The child who feels inexplicably drawn to ancient Egypt. The young person who dreams of teaching, though no one in their family is an educator. The teenager who feels compelled to study healing arts, before they even know such paths exist. These early knowings often seem to come from nowhere. There's no logical explanation. No environmental influence that would account for such specific clarity about purpose and direction. But from your soul's perspective, these moments make perfect sense. You're remembering fragments of your pre-incarnation agreement, brief glimpses of the mission you chose before entering this physical realm. Your soul is announcing itself through the only channel, still clear enough to receive the transmission, the unguarded awareness of childhood. Perhaps you experienced this as an unusual fascination with subjects that felt mysteriously familiar. Maybe you displayed talents that seemed to emerge fully formed, requiring no development or training. Or possibly you felt an inexplicable connection to certain causes, cultures, or ways of serving others. The pattern is always the same: knowledge that seems to come from beyond your current lifetime's experience. Understanding that feels like remembering rather than learning. Certainty about your purpose that defies logical explanation. Many people dismiss these early experiences as childhood imagination, but Cayce's readings reveal a deeper truth. Your soul was speaking to you in the only language it knew you'd understand at that age. Pure, unfiltered knowing. These early glimpses weren't meant to provide your complete life blueprint. They were meant to plant seeds of recognition that would sprout throughout your journey, reminding you that you've always known, deep down, why you're really here. But childhood knowing is just the beginning. As you mature, as your soul's mission begins to unfold, the signs become more sophisticated, more precisely orchestrated, more undeniably personal. There's a moment when the universe begins to arrange itself around you, not in your favor necessarily, but in service of your soul's calling. Books fall off shelves just as you're questioning your purpose. Strangers mention exactly what you need to hear. Job opportunities appear that seem crafted specifically for your unique combination of skills and passions. You turn on the radio to hear the precise message your heart was yearning to receive. Once you might have called these coincidences, but as they multiply, as they become more frequent, more personal, more impossibly timed, you begin to sense a deeper choreography at work. Edgar Cayce called this phenomenon the universe conspiring to assist soul fulfillment. When you begin moving toward your authentic purpose, reality itself seems to respond. Circumstances align in ways that feel mathematically impossible, yet emotionally perfect. Picture this. You've been struggling with a major life decision. You're walking through a bookstore not looking for anything in particular when a book literally falls into your path. You pick it up to discover it's written by someone who faced the exact same choice you're contemplating, and it contains the insight that transforms your entire perspective. Or perhaps you're sitting in a coffee shop feeling lost about your career direction. The person at the next table is having a phone conversation about a field of work you've never heard of. But as you listen, every cell in your body lights up with recognition. By the end of the day, you've researched this path and discovered it combines everything you're passionate about. These aren't random events. They're coordinated encounters orchestrated by your higher self, drawing exactly what you need into your experience at precisely the moment you're ready to receive it. The deeper truth that Cayce revealed: when you align with your soul's mission, you activate magnetic properties in consciousness itself. You begin attracting people, opportunities, and resources that serve your evolution and your service to others. But notice the pattern in these synchronicities. They rarely involve easy paths or comfortable choices. Instead, they typically present opportunities that simultaneously terrify and excite you, possibilities that stretch you beyond your current identity, invitations that require you to grow into a larger version of yourself. The meaningful synchronicity often appears at your point of greatest uncertainty. When you're questioning everything, when you're ready to give up on your dreams, when you're wondering if you're completely delusional about your purpose, that's when the universe sends the most unmistakable signals. The mentor who appears from nowhere, the funding that materializes just when you thought you'd have to abandon your vision, the collaboration that combines your gifts with someone else's in ways neither of you could have imagined alone. Look back at the major transitions in your life, the moments when everything shifted, the decisions that altered your trajectory completely. How many of those turning points were triggered by synchronicities that felt personally designed for you? Your soul is always broadcasting. The question is, are you learning to recognize the responses? There's a moment when you discover something about yourself that defies explanation. You sit down at a piano you've never played, and your fingers find melodies that sound like memories. You attempt to counsel a friend through crisis, and wisdom flows through you that seems far beyond your years or experience. You pick up a paintbrush, a pen, a healing technique, and it feels like coming home to yourself, while others struggle to master what you seem to absorb effortlessly. Edgar Cayce's readings revealed this phenomenon as karmic inheritance. Abilities developed through lifetimes of dedication suddenly reactivating when your soul's current mission requires them. Picture this. In a previous incarnation, you spent decades mastering the art of healing. You studied herbalism, energy work, the subtle anatomy of the human spirit. You served as a temple healer, a village wise woman, a keeper of ancient healing traditions. Then you incarnated into this lifetime with a completely different background, different family, different culture, different apparent life path. But when you first encounter energy healing, when someone places their hands on you or teaches you to work with chakras, something ancient within you awakens. Your hands seem to know exactly where to go. You intuitively understand concepts that others find complex and confusing. This isn't beginner's luck. This is soul-level muscle memory. The pattern is unmistakable. Certain skills feel like remembering rather than learning. Complex concepts click instantly, while others around you struggle with the basics. You excel without extensive training, and mastering these abilities brings a deep sense of rightness, of returning to something you'd temporarily forgotten. But here's what makes this truly significant. The skills that emerge effortlessly almost always relate directly to your life purpose. The natural teacher discovers they can explain the most complex subjects with unusual clarity. The born healer finds that their presence alone calms others' anxiety. The intuitive counselor sees straight to the core of people's struggles. Your soul didn't choose these abilities randomly. They're tools, spiritual instruments carefully crafted over lifetimes, now reactivating to serve your current mission. Sometimes this recognition comes gradually. You notice you have an unusual knack for something, but you dismiss it as minor talent. Only over time do you realize that this minor talent is actually a cornerstone of your soul's calling. Other times, the awakening is dramatic. You attend a workshop, read a book, or have an experience that suddenly activates dormant abilities. What was previously impossible becomes natural. What seemed foreign becomes familiar. What felt like reaching becomes remembering. The key recognition. When you engage these effortless skills in service of others, you feel most authentically yourself. Time seems to stop. Energy expands rather than depletes. You lose yourself in the flow of purpose-aligned activity. This isn't ego gratification. This is soul recognition. You're remembering why you chose to incarnate with these particular gifts, and how they serve the larger mission you came here to fulfill. But natural talent is only preparation. The real test of your soul's calling emerges when these gifts must be wielded in service, when you must choose between the safety of keeping them hidden and the courage of sharing them with a world that desperately needs what you have to offer. There's a restlessness that cannot be quieted by achievement, a hollow feeling that grows stronger the more successful you become in conventional terms, a persistent voice whispering that you're living someone else's dream, while your soul's true calling remains unexpressed. You've checked all the boxes society told you would bring fulfillment: good education, stable career, financial security, yet something inside you remains profoundly unsatisfied, hungry, seeking something that success, as the world defines it, cannot provide. This isn't personal failure. Edgar Cayce called this sacred discontent, your soul's refusal to settle for less than its true purpose. Picture your soul as a homing beacon, constantly sending signals about your authentic direction. When you move toward activities, relationships, or careers that don't align with your deepest calling, the signal becomes discordant, uncomfortable, impossible to ignore. The discontent isn't punishment. It's protection, preventing you from getting too comfortable in a life that's too small for who you're becoming. Notice how surgically precise this dissatisfaction tends to be. It doesn't touch the areas where you're authentically aligned. When you're engaged in purpose-driven activity, when you're using your gifts in service of others, when you're walking your true path, the restlessness disappears. You feel energized, connected, deeply alive. But when you're living according to others' expectations, when you're pursuing goals that look good on paper but feel empty in your heart, the sacred discontent returns with increasing intensity. Many people try to medicate this feeling. They pursue more achievements, more possessions, more external validation. They tell themselves they should be grateful for what they have. They judge themselves for feeling dissatisfied when their lives appear successful from the outside. But Cayce's readings reveal a profound truth. This divine dissatisfaction is your soul's gift to you. It's the internal compass that keeps pointing you toward your authentic calling, no matter how many times you try to ignore its guidance. The sacred discontent often intensifies during periods of transition, when you've outgrown your current role but haven't yet stepped into your true purpose, when you know something needs to change but aren't clear what that something is, when you're being called to release what's comfortable in order to reach for what's meaningful. These periods can feel like spiritual crisis. You may question everything, your choices, your values, your entire life direction. But from your soul's perspective, this discomfort is sacred labor, the necessary breakdown that precedes breakthrough into authentic purpose. The key is learning to read this discontent as a guidance system rather than a personal failing. When you feel that familiar restlessness, that sense of being off track, ask yourself, what is this feeling trying to tell me? Where is it pointing me? What authentic expression of my gifts is trying to emerge? Often, the sacred discontent appears strongest just before your biggest leap toward genuine purpose. It's your soul's way of creating enough discomfort to motivate the courage required for authentic transformation. The pain isn't the problem. The pain is the solution. pushing you toward the life your soul actually came here to live. There's something mysterious about the conversations people have with you. They share secrets they've never told anyone, confess struggles they've kept hidden for years, find themselves pouring out their deepest pain, even when they intended to keep the interaction light and casual, and somehow, you know exactly what to say. Words flow through you that seem to come from a source deeper than your conscious mind. Insights emerge that surprise even you with their clarity and compassion. You offer perspectives that help others see their struggles in completely new ways. This isn't coincidence, according to Edgar Cayce's readings. This is your soul fulfilling one of its primary missions, transforming personal wounds into healing wisdom for others. Here's the pattern that emerges again and again. Your greatest personal struggles become your most powerful tools for serving others. The trauma you've survived and integrated becomes a bridge you can build for those still crossing similar territory. The abuse survivor who becomes a trauma therapist. The former addict who guides others toward recovery. The person who conquered depression, who now brings hope to those lost in their own darkness. But it goes deeper than career choices. Even in casual interactions, people sense something in your presence. A quality of understanding, a depth of compassion that comes only from having walked through your own valley of shadows and emerged with wisdom. Your wounds weren't random, Cayce revealed. They were curriculum, carefully chosen by your soul as preparation for your service to others. You volunteered to experience certain forms of suffering so you could master the art of transformation, and then teach that art to fellow travelers facing similar challenges. This creates what spiritual traditions call the wounded healer archetype, someone who has personally navigated the journey from pain to purpose, from victim to victor, from wounded to wise. Notice how naturally others are drawn to share their struggles with you, how they seem to feel safe in your presence, how your story of overcoming inspires their own courage to continue healing. This isn't happening because you're trying to be helpful. It's happening because your soul's energy carries the frequency of transformation. Others unconsciously recognize that you've been where they are and successfully found a way through. The healing you offer isn't about giving advice or fixing others' problems. It's about being a living example that healing is possible, that wounds can become wisdom, that pain can become purpose, that what seems like an ending can actually be a beginning. Your presence alone becomes medicine. Your story becomes a lighthouse for those still navigating stormy waters. Your transformation becomes proof that their transformation is not only possible, but inevitable. This is one of the soul's most profound forms of service, using your own healing journey to illuminate the path for others, turning your greatest struggles into your deepest gifts, allowing your scars to become the very places where light enters, and then shines out to guide others home. In the space between sleeping and waking, between what is and what could be, your soul shows you glimpses of a life you haven't lived yet. You dream of teaching in ways that don't match your current circumstances. You have visions of healing people through methods you've never learned. You see yourself creating, leading, or serving in roles that seem completely unrelated to your present reality. But these dreams feel different from ordinary nighttime fantasies. They carry a weight, a presence, a quality of truth that lingers long after waking. They feel less like imagination and more like memory. Edgar Cayce explained these experiences as soul-level memory accessing future probabilities. Your higher self, existing outside linear time, can perceive the potential futures that await when you fully align with your calling. These aren't predictions set in stone. They're previews, glimpses of what becomes possible when you step fully into your authentic purpose. Pay attention to the recurring themes, the dreams that return with variations, the visions that evoke deep emotion, leaving you with a sense of profound rightness about what you've seen. Perhaps you repeatedly dream of standing before groups of people, teaching or speaking about subjects you're passionate about. Maybe you have visions of working with your hands, creating something beautiful or functional that serves others. Or you might see yourself in healing environments, using gifts you're only beginning to recognize in your waking life. The key pattern: these dreams and visions almost always involve you serving others in some capacity. They show you using your gifts not for personal aggrandizement, but for the benefit of those around you. And there's usually an element that stretches you beyond your current identity. The shy person dreams of public speaking. The analytical mind sees itself doing intuitive healing work. The practical person envisions creating art that moves souls. Keep a journal beside your bed. Record not just the details of these visions, but the feelings they evoke. Notice which scenarios make your heart sing with recognition, even if your logical mind can't imagine how such a future could unfold. Sometimes these glimpses come during meditation, daydreaming, or moments of quiet reflection. Your consciousness expands, and suddenly you can see yourself living a life that feels simultaneously foreign and deeply familiar. These aren't fantasies born from dissatisfaction with your current circumstances. They're transmissions from your soul, showing you the life that awaits when you have the courage to follow your authentic calling. Trust what you see in these visionary states. Your soul is giving you a preview of coming attractions, the life you came here to live when you're ready to claim it fully. Your body knows before your mind understands. There are activities that leave you feeling drained, depleted, diminished, even when they're supposedly successful or rewarding. And there are other experiences that fill you with vitality, expand your sense of aliveness, make time seem to bend and flow differently. This isn't about preference or personality. According to Cayce's teachings, this is about energetic resonance, your soul incarnated with specific attunement frequencies. And when you align with your true purpose, you experience energetic harmony. When you misalign, you experience energetic discord. Pay attention to your life force. Notice what consistently expands your energy versus what contracts it. Your body is giving you feedback about alignment with your soul's calling that's more reliable than your mind's analysis of what your purpose should be. Perhaps you've noticed that certain types of work energize you rather than exhaust you. Even when the tasks are challenging, even when the hours are long, you find yourself feeling more alive, more connected, more authentically yourself. Or maybe you've discovered that specific environments dramatically affect your vitality. Some spaces make you feel expanded, creative, filled with possibility. Others leave you feeling heavy, constricted, eager to escape. The same pattern often appears with people. Certain individuals seem to amplify your energy simply through their presence. Conversations with them leave you feeling inspired, uplifted, more connected to your own truth, while interactions with others, no matter how pleasant on the surface, leave you feeling somehow diminished. This energetic feedback system is one of your soul's most reliable guidance mechanisms. It operates below the level of conscious thought, responding to the deeper harmonics of purpose and authenticity. When you're engaged in purpose-aligned activity, time takes on a different quality. Hours pass like minutes. You lose track of external concerns, becoming fully absorbed in the present moment. This isn't escapism, it's arrival. You've entered the flow state that emerges when your actions align with your soul's deepest intentions. Conversely, when you're operating outside your authentic calling, time can feel heavy, sticky, resistant. Minutes crawl by like hours. You find yourself checking the clock, counting down until you can escape to something more genuine. Your energy levels are speaking to you constantly. They're providing real-time feedback about how closely your outer life matches your inner truth. Begin conducting your own energy audit. Notice what activities, environments, and relationships consistently expand your life force. Pay attention to when you feel most vibrantly alive, most connected to your own essence. These are your soul's breadcrumbs leading you toward the life you came here to live. Trust your body's wisdom over society's expectations. Trust your spirit's expansion over your mind's fears. Your energy never lies. It knows exactly where your authentic purpose lives, and it's constantly guiding you home. There comes a moment when the universe begins to participate in your purpose. Doors that seemed permanently locked suddenly swing open. Funding appears for your vision from unexpected sources. Influential people offer support you never asked for. Obstacles that seemed insurmountable dissolve through circumstances you couldn't have orchestrated. It's as if reality itself conspires to assist your soul's mission. Edgar Cayce called this phenomenon divine intervention, logistics. When you align with your pre-incarnation agreement, when you begin moving toward your authentic calling, you activate cosmic support systems that exist beyond ordinary understanding. But notice the pattern. This assistance rarely comes for ego-driven ambitions or purely personal goals. The universe opens doors specifically for service, for the work your soul came here to do that benefits others. Perhaps you've been developing a healing practice, uncertain how to reach the people who need your gifts. Then a friend mentions your work to someone who knows someone who runs a wellness center, and suddenly you have clients you couldn't have found through any marketing strategy. Or maybe you've been carrying a vision for a creative project that could inspire others, but you lack the resources to bring it to life. Then someone offers exactly what you need: a studio space, a collaboration, an introduction to the perfect partner. Through a series of connections that seem mathematically impossible, yet emotionally perfect. The key recognition. These impossible door openings serve your mission, not just your personal desires. They advance your ability to serve others through your authentic gifts. They create opportunities for you to fulfill the calling you chose before incarnation. Sometimes the assistance comes disguised as coincidence. You happen to be in the right place at the right time. You happen to meet the person who has exactly what your project needs. You happen to discover a resource that seems designed specifically for your situation. But as these experiences multiply, you begin to sense the deeper orchestration. This isn't random luck. This is your soul's magnetism, drawing to you everything required for your mission's fulfillment. The support often comes from directions you never expected. People you barely know become unexpected allies. Resources appear through channels you couldn't have imagined. Solutions emerge to problems you thought were impossible to solve. Each door opening is also preparation for the next level of service your soul came here to provide. The small opportunity prepares you for the larger one. The local impact expands to reach more people. The personal healing work evolves into teaching others the same transformation. These experiences train you to trust in ways that transcend ordinary logic. They teach you that when you're truly aligned with your purpose, the path forward will be provided. Even when you can't see how. This isn't about expecting the universe to do everything for you. It's about recognizing that when you align with your soul's deepest calling, you're no longer working alone. You're collaborating with forces that want your mission to succeed, because your success serves the greater good. Trust the doors that open. Walk through them, even when you can't see what lies beyond the threshold. Your soul knows where they lead, and it's exactly where you need to go. Strip away all external rewards. Remove money, recognition, praise, status, security. Take away every form of validation that comes from outside yourself. What remains? If you discover in that empty space a compulsion to serve that comes from pure love, you've found your soul's calling. This is the ultimate litmus test. The ninth and most profound sign, your deepest motivation for your work, your service. Your creative expression comes not from fear or ego or external validation, but from love itself. You feel genuinely called to ease others' suffering, to share truth that could transform lives, to create beauty that opens hearts, not for applause or approval, but because your soul cannot do otherwise. The recognition often comes gradually. In early stages of purpose-seeking, ego desires often intermingle with soul calling. You want to make a difference and receive recognition for it. You feel called to serve and hope to be appreciated for your service. This mixing is natural, even necessary. The ego often provides the initial courage to step into purpose-aligned action. But as your spiritual development deepens, as you grow into your authentic calling, the motivation purifies. Eventually, you reach a point where you'd rather do this work imperfectly than any other work perfectly, where criticism doesn't deter you because the calling comes from a place deeper than ego, where you continue serving even when no one notices, even when the impact isn't immediately visible, even when you receive no external validation. This doesn't mean you become a martyr or ignore practical considerations. It means your primary motivation transcends personal gain. You serve because love flows through you and must find expression in the world. You recognize this state when the work itself becomes the reward. You lose track of time and self-consciousness when engaged in purpose-aligned service. You feel most authentically yourself when using your gifts to benefit others. You experience what Cayce called love-compelled
Service. There's an almost irresistible
pull to contribute your gifts to the world's healing, not from obligation or guilt, but from the overflow of love that naturally seeks expression through service. Your heart breaks open at others' pain and simultaneously fills with hope at the possibility of alleviating that suffering. You feel both tender vulnerability and fierce determination to use whatever gifts you possess in service of life. This love-based motivation creates what mystics call selfless service. But it's not about denying the self. It's about recognizing that your deepest self is connected to all life, and serving others becomes as natural as breathing. When you reach this level of clarity about your calling, when love becomes your primary motivation, all 9 signs begin to work in harmony. Your early knowing makes sense. Synchronicities multiply. Your effortless skills serve your mission. Sacred discontent disappears when you're aligned. Others are drawn to your healing presence. Visions become reality. Your energy expands. Impossible doors open continuously. You realize you're not just living your purpose. You are your purpose. The love that flows through you, seeking expression in service to life, is the reason your soul chose to incarnate. This is the ultimate recognition. You're here to love through service. And you know you're on track when love becomes not just your motivation, but your very identity now. Take a breath. Let everything settle. You've journeyed through 9 sacred signs, 9 breadcrumbs your soul left to guide you home to your authentic purpose. Some may have resonated immediately, lighting up with recognition. Others might feel aspirational, qualities you sense stirring but haven't fully experienced yet. This is exactly how it should be. Your soul's calling doesn't emerge all at once like a lightning bolt of revelation. For most people, it unfolds gradually, like dawn breaking slowly across a landscape. Each sign activates in its own timing, according to your readiness and life circumstances. Consider creating what Cayce might call a spiritual inventory, not to judge where you are, but to recognize honestly where you stand on your soul's journey. Signs 1 through 3. These represent recognition of soul inheritance. Your early knowing, meaningful synchronicities, and effortless skills are ways your soul announces itself through your human experience. If these resonate, you're already receiving confirmation that you came here with purpose and preparation. Signs 4 through 6. These indicate activation of authentic path. Sacred discontent, the ability to heal others' wounds, and prophetic dreams signal that your mission is stirring to life. Your soul is no longer content to remain dormant and is actively guiding you toward expression. Signs 7 through 9. These reflect mastery and service alignment, energy expansion, impossible doors opening, and love-based motivation show that you're not just discovering your purpose. You're living it. Your soul and personality are working in harmony to serve life. Here's what's crucial to understand. You don't need all 9 signs to be on track. Your calling might require only certain indicators to be fully active. Some souls incarnate with delayed activation by design. Others need specific life experiences before their mission can fully emerge. If you recognize only a few signs, trust them. Let them guide your next steps. Stay open to others developing as you continue growing. If you recognize many signs, celebrate this confirmation and ask what level of service is now calling to you. When the universe confirms your path this clearly, it's usually preparing you for expanded impact. If none of the signs feel familiar yet, be patient with yourself. Sometimes the greatest missions require the longest preparation. Your soul may be gathering experience, developing emotional maturity, or waiting for the right circumstances to reveal your calling. The key is staying awake to the signals, paying attention to what expands your energy, what brings meaningful synchronicities, what feels like coming home to yourself. Your soul is always broadcasting. The question is whether you're learning to receive the transmission.